feel
how
like
it goes.
we've been talking about doing this since like you pretty much moved down to Australia.
Yeah,
So
which is
it's
pretty
nice
crazy.
that, it's been crazy and like adjusting, and I'm
Mhm.
really glad that we're just starting it and doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And
man.
we got a big, F1 season is right around the corner.
It's so crazy. I feel like one of my favorite things about the sport is uh, you have these like crazy long seasons, and
Yeah.
then there's like a month or like 2 months where like maybe like 6 weeks where you don't hear about F1 at all, and then
Yes.
it's like okay, liveries start getting announced, and then you start seeing photos of like the drivers and their new helmets, and then they're
Yeah.
doing testing, and then all of a sudden it's like three we're 3 weeks away, I think,
Yeah. Well, this
from
weekend is
yeah.
when they start testing in Bahrain.
Yeah, so we're
So,
3 weeks away from the first race.
yeah, 26th of March,
Yeah, which
which
is
is
which is nuts.
wild. Yeah.
It's
So,
crazy.
and usually this will be different because usually testing goes down in Barcelona.
Yeah, and
So
it's usually longer too, right? They reduce the testing period, I
yeah,
believe.
typically they do
Yeah,
two weekends, which it looks like they're just doing one.
yeah,
But then they have the first race in Bahrain, which is different because typically it always opens up down in Sydney, or
no, for
sorry,
sure.
Melbourne,
Yeah,
my bad.
which
Um,
yeah, I think they just moved that. They're still going to try to race there this year, but
yeah.
it's been moved. It's like one of the last races on the circuit now,
Oh,
which will be
interesting.
like the middle of the summer for here. So it's like maybe not middle of summer, beginning of summer this November, I
Yeah.
think it is. Yeah, November 20th or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing
Um,
that right now.
yeah, which will be really
Sick. Well,
cool.
I like that track a lot. That's a good race. It's like really quick with some like awesome chicanes
Yeah,
and some tight, it's like a tight track, but also it's open enough that you can get some good passing going.
for sure. Yeah, there's a couple straights where they can open the cars up and get around guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, which is sweet.
Yeah.
Um, the so out of the recent, have we seen all the liveries? Have have
I
all
don't,
the teams released? I think
I
they have.
thought so. I think Mercedes was the last one. I thought.
Might have been
Um,
the Aston Martin.
yeah. Let's see here. The W12. I wonder how Lewis is gonna go this year.
As much as I would like to say it's probably going to be, I mean, I would love to see something different, but I just like don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I do see like the everyone behind him is. I think it's going to be extremely competitive with
Yes.
uh, with like the way the McLaren cars looked, and they switched to Mercedes power engines this year, or power units.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think their cars can be a lot quicker. So
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like the big changes will obviously Aston Martin is coming in, which is going to be really cool.
mhm.
Vettel, I believe, partnered in on this.
I think you're
Uh,
right. Like with
I,
the
I,
company.
yeah, I want to say he did,
Yeah.
but I could be wrong. But regardless, I think it's great for him to be on a new team that had a really promising car last year. I feel like the end of his like Ferrari stint, it was just, I mean, as soon as Leclerc went in there, he kind of just got shook, it looked like.
Yeah, it was like unfortunate to see how it ended last year and how like Ferrari treated the situation.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it is really cool to see him not only with like a new team, but also it's like a fresh team. Like it's like Austin Martin's like new to the circuit, and it's like he's not just like going to Racing Point, who's been
Mhm.
around for a couple of years. It's a brand new team,
Mhm.
like reintroduced to the circuit, which I think would be really cool.
And they're obviously their goal is like championship, and
Yeah,
I think that's cool because when it went from Force India to Racing Point, they're just the car did improve quite a bit, especially last year, but it still looked like the same car, right? So
totally.
you almost had that like Force India burned into your head.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
but
Yeah,
now, yeah, you've got this emerald green, like the
it
car
looks
looks
so good.
Yeah, the car looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And I hope Vettel just puts fucking Lance in his place a little bit, because Lance
Honestly.
he did have a good season, but he
Yeah.
wasn't a good car,
No.
and he comes off super arrogant.
Super. And I think I can speak for the both of us when we say like it's super nice to have two Canadians on the circuit, and like you want to cheer for them, but as Canadians, it makes it a little hard to cheer for Lance sometimes.
Yes, you're not
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's just like even like when I talked to F1 fans down here, and they always ask my opinion about him, and I feel like I need to support him, and I want to, just because it's cool to see a Canadian in the sport, but it's also, it's like, come on, man.
kind of like know your place. Like he's got a really cool opportunity to be a
Yeah.
good driver, you know,
Oh, for
but
sure. Yeah, man.
the fact that he's kind of coming in there young and then arrogant as well. Like some of his interviews last year were just
Yeah,
ridiculous, you know,
totally.
saying how he felt like he was the best driver on the track and
Yeah.
like out driving like, Max
Yeah.
and
Lewis Hamilton, arguably the
Lewis and
greatest of all time. Yeah.
it's just like a little
Yeah.
bit more yeah, it would just it's tough to cheer for him sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. He needs to stay a little bit humble.
But it'll be good. Hopefully Vettel will be able to teach him things as like, a 5 times world champion. Isn't Vettel, or he's got 4?
4. Yeah. 4 with Red Bull.
4. So it's like, it'll be cool, I think, for him to have that leadership on the team.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what those guys can do. I think it's great.
Do you think it's interesting because like you had when Lance was racing with Checo, who's obviously a veteran of the sport, but like, do you think Lance, like, obviously I think Lance is going to look at Vettel a lot differently because Vettel's got 4 world championships.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, the thing with Checo is that he's been around for a long time, but he just won his first race last year. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, his first.
That's wild.
He was crying up there, and sometimes it's the luck of the draw with F1. You know, you got to get put in the right car at the right time, and I think with Red Bull, he's got a good chance to like really prove himself as the driver that he wants to be.
For sure. Yeah.
Because we all know he's a really good driver, but he just hasn't quite had the consistency and the power in the car that he's probably needed.
No, absolutely.
Now the Red Bulls are still running Honda engines.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I feel for them a bit because they, Honda came back in and now they're already pulling out, but they've got this year on the engines with them. And I did read that they like bought the technology or something. So they're going to be, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure Red Bull could be developing their own engine moving forward based off of this Honda engine.
Yeah, I think that's what it like. Where I remember it leaving off was, so they had a few options. They could either purchase engines from someone on the circuit, or if they could, they would have to be developing their own. And I guess it probably just comes down to financially, like how much money they're willing to spend. And I don't think anyone on the circuit was really going to sell them engines. Like you already have Mercedes engines in 2 or 3 cars. 3 cars now. The Aston Martin, McLaren, and Mercedes. And then I think their only option.
Williams too.
Right. Yeah. So they weren't going to get an engine from them, and I think really their only other option was Renault. And with the way that relationship ended last, I just don't think if they were going to get an engine from them, it was just going to be at an insane cost.
Or Ferrari, but I don't think anyone's itching for a Ferrari engine right now.
It's hard to give those away.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's very sad.
I can't wait for the day that the Ferrari comes back.
Yeah, it'll happen.
It will.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Especially
with their driver lineup, like it's just, it has to. It will.
Yeah, 100%. And then Red Bull is looking the same pretty much. They might have changed some sponsorship locations in the car, but that looks the same. Looks like McLaren maybe added a little bit more blue in
I
their
think
car.
so. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, it kind of like looks pretty similar. I think they just shifted around a little bit.
Yeah, Alpine. So Renault made a big change. So it looks like there is like some ownership change, or let me look into this quickly. But that car looks pretty cool.
It looks really cool, and I don't think it's what like everyone expected.
Yeah, not at all.
I think a lot of people were expecting like the like royal blue and yellow, kind of like the old Renault look. But what is it's really sharp. It looks really cool.
Yeah. So it says that Alpine merged with Renault in 1976. So yeah, they're still like kind of like owned by Renault, I guess, but it's just a bit of a switch up, bit of a change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be interesting starting the season and just seeing some new looking cars out there.
Totally, man. I think it's gonna be cool because this will be the last year of this like era. And I think that we were, before the pandemic, you were on track for this year to be the start of the new engine era, right?
Right.
So I think it will be nice to see like fresh cars out on the circuit, even with 1 year left. And I think honestly, I don't know what you think, but as far as driver lineups, it seems like they're just like getting better and better. Like these rookies that have come into the like the F1 circuit the last few years that have like improved to be really good drivers are now they're now like, you can know that they have the talent to like compete for podiums. And I think as far as like driver lineups across the grid, it's probably one of the most talented lineups there's been in a while.
Totally, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And then an interesting one with Haas would be the Mick Schumacher and Mazepin. What, Mazepin?
I think so, yeah.
And there was a little, so that's obviously where the Russian you were mentioning to me about the Haas. I'm reading this right now. Haas corporate colors of gray, black, and red have been replaced by the white, red, and blue of the Russian flag,
right,
to mark the arrival of Uralkali, a Russian potash fertilizer producer. So there's obviously some big Russian money going into this car.
Yeah, tons.
And that's where.
But is one of their new drivers Russian?
Yeah. So Nikita Mazepin, and there was a bit of drama this off season with him. He got into some trouble.
And I would have to look it up, but for some reason, I don't think he can race under the Russian flag.
Right.
Technically, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, no kidding. So he had he says he's learned from his huge mistake. Let me just read into this. I don't know. I feel like it was like off the racetrack kind of discipline that he got too.
Yeah.
Like something with a girl, maybe. I'm not 100%.
Just says this is on Fansided. Put himself in the spotlight with a video which posted to his Instagram story back in December.
Yeah.
Video featured him sitting in the passenger seat of a car. He turned around to the back seat before reaching for a woman's shirt and grabbing her breast, leading her to try and push him away before giving up the middle. Yeah, so that's not a good start to your F1 career. Not a good start to anything.
No.
Damn.
Yeah, so we'll see. And then Mick Schumacher, I mean, obviously Michael was a big part of this, one of the biggest parts of the sports.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's going to be really cool to see his son come in there and race, and hopefully he has a promising first season that could then get him up to, in the next couple of years, to like a Red Bull or like Ferrari, most likely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's probably where he'll end up moving to pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If things go according to plan.
And who leaves Ferrari, man? And where do they go?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see how Leclerc does. And like
Yeah,
Signs, I feel like Signs was a good signing for them because they could probably, I know they were paying Vettel like, in the $40 million
for sure.
range.
Yeah,
So to bring someone in like Signs, who's a really promising driver and definitely less than $40 million,
yeah,
they could be probably putting that money into the car
for
and
sure.
into development for the next few years.
Yeah,
So that's kind of where I see that move. It was like it does. They're obviously not up for a world championship, and I think they know that
yeah,
for sure. So yeah, that's where I see that move coming from, and hopefully they can just really compete with each other and come in like fight for like a third place or like a fourth
mm,
place in the constructors. Like
yeah.
that'd be a huge win for them this year.
Oh, for sure.
Um, and then hopefully when the new kind of regulations and the car rolls out, that they can be fighting again for that top two spot where they kind of belong.
Oh, it'd be great. I would, and to the new regulations, I would love to see just a fall of the Mercedes.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah,
every empire must fall.
yeah,
And even like just going to soccer quickly, like you look at Liverpool and they were the most dominant team for 2 years in a row. And
right.
this year they've lost their sixth straight game at home at Anfield, which is like crazy.
Yeah, it's funny
And
enough.
they're like seventh in the Prem,
Yeah,
like
it's
they're out of
crazy.
Champions League and Europa League as it stands, which
Yeah,
is fucking nuts.
yeah. So like it's funny you bring that up because I know like nothing about soccer, but I was on
Yeah.
Instagram this morning, and it showed like their start of the season where they had like won a bunch of games, were like third I think in the league, and then
Yeah.
they're like the last half of the season they've lost like what you said 6 games in a row now, and now
At
they're
home, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. And yeah,
And
I
dropping
don't
points to like big, like low table teams too,
yeah, yeah, that's
which is
crazy.
just really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Um,
so I feel like with Mercedes, like the time will come. It's just like
yeah,
when is
totally.
that?
And honestly, like after saying that, like I I don't think like I just don't see it happening soon. I don't even know if I see it happening in the next um, once the regulations change. I could see the field tighten up for a little bit, but
Mhm.
I think if they come out like they're always just ahead of the game, and if they come out like ahead of the game in the first year or so, I think they're just gonna just keep going.
You're not wrong, man. Yeah, I think you're spot on, and they're going to be at the top of the development for the new regulations,
Yeah, no, for sure.
So
Yeah, yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty wild. Um,
What about Perez at Red Bull? How does that feel for you?
I really like it, and I think I think it was a tough move for Red Bull to make, just because he's not like he's not a Red Bull driver, not from the academy, and like they're getting rid of Albon, but it does show that they're focused on they're not focused on just Max anymore, and I honestly think like Perez and Max at Red Bull that like gives them a really good chance to win the constructors championship. I
Totally.
think like I think
Yeah.
if I just don't think I'd like really like to see Bottas do well, and like I feel like in the last few seasons like the whenever he does well I'm like okay sweet, he just seems to have like really bad luck, um and I think yeah, like I'm just looking at the standings last year. He finished second, he had 2 wins, and Hamilton had 11,
Yeah.
which is like
So he
it's
was
crazy.
always second place.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah.
Um, so I just think if Max and Sergio Perez get along, um, I think they could both do really well.
Yeah.
Just for the team Red Bull, I still think Mercedes will win the drivers' championship, but I think the constructors' championship will be a lot closer. And
Yeah,
if you,
I agree, man.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's going to be nice, and I think it'll be good for Max too to have a driver there who's willing to push his limit.
totally,
Like it's not going to be like an easy first place for him anymore.
no, no, not at
Uh,
all.
it might take a little bit of time for Perez to get used to that Red Bull car.
Yeah,
I've been reading some of his interviews and listening, and he's been saying that it is a much different car
mm,
than what other F1 cars that he's driven.
For sure. Yeah.
Not exactly sure why, but just the way that Red Bull's built it.
Right.
So I feel like it might be a slower start for Perez, but then he's going to really pick up steam, and hopefully it just sucks that he is missing out on that extra week of
For
testing.
sure. Yeah, man. And when you've seen that like 2 years in a row, like Gasly and Albon come into the Red Bull car and really struggle with it. And I think they've just built the car around like Max and his driving style, and it's like so good for him. But yeah, I agree. I think it'll take a while to get used to, but I just think like having that talent beside him is just, it's going to help Red Bull so much. There was so many times last year where Max would get overtaken, or their strategy would be like compromised just because Albon wasn't there to support him. So I think that'll be sure. And it's kind of cool. Max and Perez finished 3rd and 4th in the Drivers' Championship. Obviously, way behind Lewis and Bottas, but
they were still right.
They're still right there. Yeah, for the top. So it's exciting.
It is exciting, man.
Yeah.
I'm pumped. I'm like super pumped, and they'll have all of Mexico cheering for Red Bull now.
Totally. It's gonna be insane.
That's a big population of Red Bull merch that is going to be flying.
That's nuts, man.
Those Mexicans, they love their racing.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be going crazy.
That'll be a fun one. I wonder when that race is. It's always later in the year, but
did they didn't do it last year? Hey, I don't think so.
No, they didn't do any North America. We got fucked, man. They didn't do any North or South America.
Yeah.
So nice, next October 31st.
Cool. Yeah, Halloween, it's nice to see. It's nice to see that they've been able to this year spread the calendar. Obviously, makes sense. Last year with everything going on, it was super impressive that they even got a season in. But to see this year that they can spread the circuit around a lot more, which would be cool. And they just added Portugal, right, to the circuit.
Yeah, Portugal was a last kind of a last minute addition, and it was a good race last year. It's like down in the Algarve, so it's beautiful down there, and it was very hilly, which makes it challenging for the drivers and makes for an interesting race.
Totally, yeah, absolutely.
So that'll be Portimao. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, it'd be fun to go to that one because I've still got tickets to Montreal, but I don't imagine. It's tough to know, man. Like, I don't imagine they're gonna have fans at that Canada race. That's June 13th.
And even if they do, it'll probably be pretty limited.
Yeah, I've got a wedding on June 11th, so if it does happen, I'm gonna have to shoot the wedding, miss practice on Friday, and then catch the red eye Friday night so that I can be there for Saturday's qualifying.
Yeah, it'll be worth it. Now, I'm curious too with like the race in Melbourne in November, like what that looks like timeline wise, just like because that's like 8 months from now, so could be fans, but it could be limited, and it'll probably just be all previous ticket holders from the one that got canceled last year.
Exactly. I mean, they are saying that a lot of countries are kind of coming out and saying now that they want to be having a regulation-free summer. With vaccinations and stuff. So I mean, October could look good, or November, right? With that,
for sure, man.
So hopefully, I was even reading that because Euro 2020 last year got pushed to this year,
right?
And UEFA was saying that they want to have half the stadium full.
Yeah, crazy.
And that's this June. They want to be at least half the stadium full this June. So that would be that's something. I mean, they're hoping to get fans, right?
No,
all
absolutely.
These live sporting events, and if you got to get a vaccine, it's like, so be it. I mean, I'll take a jab to go to F1.
Oh,
yeah.
It'll be fun, man.
It will be. Okay, and then what else we got? Alonso at Alpine. So back to Renault, where he has won a championship. The Spanish King returns.
So I've never watched Alonso race.
Yeah.
I don't because I feel like I think both of us got into F1 because of the first Drive to Survive, documentary.
Totally.
Like I was like, yeah, I don't really care. And I think a lot of diehard F1 fans really appreciate that documentary, or they like hate all the new fans that it's brought in.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be really exciting. I hope it is. I've just like seen a lot about how like his personality, and he's obviously extremely passionate and very competitive. But I don't know. I think it's either going to be really exciting, or it's just going to be a complete letdown, and he'll be gone next year.
God. Yeah.
Because like how old is he? He's late 30s, and like obviously, that's not everything. But if he can still drive, then
Dude, he's 39. He turns 40 this year.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah.
So,
I hope it goes well. I think it'll just bring more excitement to the sport.
and he just got in a pretty bad accident, a car accident actually.
Jeez.
He was hit by a car while cycling in Switzerland. This was just like a month ago.
Damn.
So the two-time world champion had to undergo surgery for a broken jaw, but within 2 weeks he was back in full training for the new season. Wow.
Crazy. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, it brings excitement.
Mm-hmm.
It'll either be really good, and it also gives Ocon a chance to prove himself against a veteran, right?
For sure, man. And I think same thing like with the Vettel and Stroll situation, like that matchup or pairing, I guess. It's the exact same thing. Like Ocon, he's been in and out of the sport for the last few years, and I think it just gives him it gives him a mentor for a year or 2 years. And I think Alonso is he's like in it for more of the long, maybe not driving for like the bigger picture, but I think he like wants to bring as much as he can to the team. And if that's like making Esteban Ocon like a great driver and helping him as much as he can, I'm sure he'll be pretty stoked.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, testing next week is going to be interesting, man. It'll be cool to see where everyone's at and what kind of times they're putting in. You can never like totally tell, but it gives you a pretty good gauge of, where each team is going to be starting the season anyway.
Oh, absolutely, man. I just want to talk about one more livery that we didn't, and it was the AlphaTauri, man. I honestly, like last year, I thought it looked really good, and this year I think it looks great. I just like love the contrast between like the white and the glossy navy. Like I just think it looks. But they're both matte.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the 2021 they went like more matte and changed the logo around, and I just think it looks great. It's such a cool looking car. Man.
Yeah, and the Japanese Yuki Tsunada. He that's best big for Japan. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's massive.
A young promising driver, and Gasly had a great season last year.
Yeah, I think
I love that they kind of, what's cool, like yes, this is the feeder team, to Red Bull, but the way that they've now branded it is that AlphaTauri could go on to like win a championship. It is a different car.
Absolutely, yeah. I think really when they switched the livery last year, that's kind of what made it stand out as like a different team. Before that, it was kind of like you can still tell it's part of Red Bull, but it just it stands out a lot more. And yeah, like I think Gasly impressed everyone last year. I mean, that's just like, I think all the drivers, he was the most impressive that like you didn't expect to do as well as he did.
Totally.
Which is unreal, especially in a car that, like you said, is meant to be like getting you ready for the big Red Bull car. Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, they're going to be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, so it looks like the only one who hasn't released their livery is maybe Williams.
I think there's pictures of it.
Okay, nice. Probably maybe the article I'm reading is a few days old.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, the Haas looks almost like a fucking Williams right now.
It looks like the old Williams, but yeah, maybe they actually haven't. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember Williams last year, or maybe the year before, they didn't even get out for their first training session.
Yeah, I think last year they did, but the year before, I don't think they did.
I know it's been tough, but they do have some new ownership now. So the Williams family actually sold it. So that was pretty emotional last year, and hopefully those new owners will carry on the legacy, but
totally
improve that car to where Williams should be. You know, Williams,
there's
like, yeah, it goes Ferrari, and like in most championships, I'm pretty sure Williams they're right behind Ferrari.
Oh,
like,
man.
not right behind Ferrari, but
a very like historical team.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the sport.
And unfortunately, we've just never, the last decade, you just haven't seen it, right? They're the bottom feeders.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Totally. I ran into this one guy at this goes back last year, I think, but I ran into him at B&A, and he was wearing a Williams jacket. It was like a super dope, like it was a sick, like authentic Williams jacket. And I was like, yo, man, like nice jacket. Like I was pumped, it was like the first thing I brought up to him. And he was like, he's kind of laughed. He's like, yeah, they used to be really like, this used to be a really cool jacket. I'm like, no, dude, it's still a cool jacket.
It's still a cool jacket. Yeah.
He was like, this was like the 04 one. I'm like,
yeah,
totally.
he's a true fan.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
And that's like, Drive to Survive was definitely an eye opener for a lot of people. And I was lucky that like my old man, he always really loved Formula One. Like growing up, he'd be, waking up at all hours of the night watching it. So that's where it's like it was cool to be able to kind of see, Fernando Alonso like go through his I think he won a championship in like 06 and 07. So
yeah, right.
Like I remember my dad being pretty pumped because the guy was Spanish, and that was like, it was a big deal, right?
For sure.
And I'm pissed that we missed the Rosberg Hamilton battle, because
I know
those were probably like two of the best F1 years in like the last 20 years.
For sure. Absolutely, man. Yeah.
And even just watching like some documentaries on it, like it was so intense.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was wild. And like since then, Hamilton really hasn't had a teammate that pushes him that consistently throughout the year.
No.
Not really at all.
Exactly.
And that was,
It seems like Hamilton only signed a 1-year deal here, because
right.
I feel like he's making a lot of money.
Tons.
And I think they even like renegotiated him down this year.
Right.
Because they kind of had, George go in there last year for that one race, and like everyone was like, whoa.
I was just gonna say,
yeah, this guy makes
so sick.
300,000 pounds a year.
Yeah.
And he pretty much like outraced Bottas that day. Like he did.
100%.
He passed him twice.
Yeah. And then there was a couple pit errors on Mercedes' part that put Bottas back in the lead. So
exactly. So I feel like that was pretty eye-opening for the Mercedes team, and then also for Hamilton to be like, oh shit, my spot is maybe not as secure as I don't think he had as much leverage when he went into renegotiation.
For sure. No, I don't think so either. And I was honestly kind of surprised that Russell didn't just take Bottas' spot. And I think they had already signed him, but after that performance, I mean, like,
yeah,
I think like I was kind of surprised the lineup stayed the same, and maybe next year it switches and it's Lewis and Russell. And if that's the case, then it's like, that's probably the best lineup there is on the grid.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nuts. That'd be really cool.
Well, I feel like we should try and do this again, like even same time next week. Well, thanks for watching, everybody who tuned in, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.
It's gonna be great.
F1, baby.
Let's do it.